Well, that was an improvement. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2. Now, if you haven't seen Season 1 yet, I suggest you do that before watching this review, as it's probably going to, by default, spoil Season 1. If you haven't seen my Season 1 review, go check that out right here. It's actually the very first TV review I've ever done. Now, let's get on with it, shall we? Season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has Phil Coulson as the director of the new S.H.I.E.L.D. But this S.H.I.E.L.D. is far from what it used to be. He's handling a mere handful of agents that are still trying to carry out the original duties of S.H.I.E.L.D. to protect and serve for the entire world. However, they have some opposition this time. Hydra is still around, so they gotta fight that. As if that wasn't bad enough, the US government can't tell the difference between S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. They pretty much think they're both the same thing, so they're hunting them down. And as if that wasn't enough stress on our friendly Mr. Coulson, Phil Coulson is having subconscious episodes in which he's drawing these strange, unearthly symbols on either the wall, on paper, or whatever, and he's worried that if he doesn't find out what these symbols mean, he's going to lose it. He's going to go crazy. Now, the reason he thinks this is happening to him is because he's been injected with that GH225 stuff, that alien blood. You know, it's what brought him back to life in the first place. But what's weird is, why isn't Skye feeling the same effects? She was injected with that same stuff as well. Well, that leads into the next big part of this season. One word. Inhumans. Now, in terms of the movies, we're not going to be introduced to the Inhumans until 2019, apparently. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is giving us a head start by making Inhumans big part of this season, which is actually pretty good. It gives the season a lot of purpose, and it allows Marvel to go through a bit of a loophole. See, they're called Inhumans, not mutants, because, of course, Fox still owns the rights to X-Men. So, Inhumans are the new mutants. Now, what are Inhumans? Well, whereas mutants get their X-gene powers from, the X-gene, it's an evolutionary thing. Inhumans get their abilities from the fact that their ancestors were a group of humans that were experimented on by the Kree aliens, the blue people in Guardians of the Galaxy, with some ancient alien conspiracy stuff, and the descendants of those people have superpowers, and obviously there's a lot of them. So that's how they make up for the lack of mutants in the MCU. Now, what about the other characters in this season? Now, we pretty much covered Coulson, we covered Skye. Agent May's past gets more detail in this season, especially when her husband is introduced, a former S.H.I.E.L.D. psychiatrist, who's a recurring character this season, played by Blair Underwood, of all people. Agent FItz suffers brain damage due to the fact he almost drowned at the hands of Ward at the end of last season. So as a result, he still retains his intelligence, but when he speaks, at least in the beginning of this season, when he speaks, he's unable to finish his own sentences, and he's unable to get complete thoughts across. Not to mention, he's also suffering from hallucinations. He keeps hallucinating visions of Simmons. Meanwhile, the actual Agent Simmons is a little more badass this season. In the beginning, she goes undercover to infiltrate Hydra. So she's more than just a perky biochemist. She's actually become a more capable character in terms of going out in the field. Ward is still around. His past also gets more detail in this season, so you get to learn why he's bad, and as a result, he becomes a far more interesting character than he was at the beginning of the season when he was just that bland, young, good-looking agent on the team. We are also introduced to two new characters in the main cast. We have Agent Lance Hunter, played by Nick Blood, and Agent Bobbi Morse, played by Adrianne Palicki, who I recognized back when she was on Friday Night Lights. These two agents used to be married, So there's kind of a married couple thing going on, even though they are now exes. Agent Hunter is probably the most comedic out of all the characters, not in a stupid, forced Jar Jar Binks kind of way, but he has probably the funniest lines out of all of them, as he would frequently be heard complaining about his former marriage, calling it a nightmare, but you get the feeling that that's just resentment talk. Like, that's just all talk. Considering that you know that Morse and Hunter still have feelings for one another, and probably the reason they separated was just because of the duties of being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Season 2 was a stark improvement over Season 1. Whereas Season 1, we had a period in the beginning where we were waiting for something to happen. This season, stuff was happening. Well, every week stuff was happening. Even though it was very serialized, it was a lot happened in each episode, and the show worked very hard to try to stand out on its own and not be too dependent on the movies. Even the instance in which they had to connect to Age of Ultron, which happened at the end of the season due to the timing of Age of Ultron's release, it felt more like a B story, like something that was happening on the side, but didn't distract too much from the main plot. Which is good, because that happened right at the end of the season, so that by that time, a lot of stuff was being built, so good for them. So we have improved pacing, improved visual effects. The visual effects got a lot more usage this season, and they look really good, as well as better storytelling. Season 2 was a major improvement in all of those areas, proving that Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. definitely wants to stand out as its own TV show that can be enjoyed for its own reasons, not merely as just promotion material for the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. So, that's what I really appreciated, and I think they're going to keep doing that more into the next season. It already got renewed for Season 3 as of the time I'm recording this. I have a feeling this show's going to get better and better as it goes on, and that there's more to do. And I think people are also starting to catch on with this show, the kind of people that originally dropped out in the first few episodes because it was just a story of the week kind of thing, and boring. I think now people are starting to get back into it. They're starting to rediscover it, and they realize, wait a second, this show is actually still pretty good. I can enjoy this for what it is. So, that's great. I hope it keeps going on that upward trend. And that is my review of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.